In this prequel to the Star Wars prequels, we get some sneaky Jedi, a steamy Sith love story, and we explore an era known as the High Republic. For Star Wars fans, this is uncharted territory. So find that virgins in the Force, test your M count, and hide all the details from the High Jedi Council. We're breaking down and reviewing the Acolyte on this episode of Three-Dimensional Dads.
Three friends, all dads, exploring every dimension of being a geek.
I'm Jay.
I'm Derek.
And I'm Ian.
And we are the Three-Dimensional Dads, and we are not stealing children from witches and turning them into Jedi Knights.
No, we're not.
My daughter had a big problem with that. She was like, they can't see their families again ever?
Nope.
And it was like, that made her really sad, where she was like, wait, when she was seeing the testing with the Jedi being done. And it's like, that made her really sad as a kid. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. You can't see your family again ever?
I mean, look,
really
if you want to be a monk who can move rocks with their mind, there you go. Right? So,
well, of course.
Unless you've been living under a rock and someone has not made it float above your head, we are talking about The Acolyte, which is from Disney Plus by way of Star Wars and Lucasfilm. And as we record this, it's been out about 6 days. So if you have not watched The Acolyte in full, if you have not watched all 8 episodes, pause this recording, go on the Plus, finish watching it, come back, and we're going to spoil the hell out of this show. Why? Because you cannot talk about the show without talking about all these minute details that are really important.
So let's start with the good.
All right.
So, Jay, what did you think? What were the good things about this?
Different but familiar, right? It was something different. It was 100 years before the prequels, right? It was a prequel of prequels. And we've heard about this for so long. Like, it was finally good to see. Like, even Luke talks about it in The Last Jedi, the Jedi on their high horse with their hubris. I'm like, well, what does that look like? Let's see it. And we did see it. The Jedi were idiots. I'm going to get to that later, right? And the ethics of the Jedi, right? I put this in the good column, right? Because it gave us more information about the Jedi, right? It's a bad thing. I think the Jedi ethics are bad, right? They take the children, we just said it, they take the children from their families and they never see them again, and they put them in the service of the galaxy. But it was so good to see how stupid that was, because every time they do it, it messes up, right? We saw it with Anakin. We saw it with now with May and Osha. We've seen the Jedi and their hubris are a problem, and it was good to see that. That's why it's in good. The Force, man, the Force is such not a black and white, blue and red thing, right? The Force, the dimensions of it, it's not just Jedi Sith, or is it, right? The mysteries of the Force and the witches using it and all that stuff. It was so cool to see like a different side of the Force.
It's a very different take.
Oh, totally.
Seeing it as a thread and the way they use it, like it's the same thing but interpreted so differently.
Exactly.
I thought that was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I also think it kind of muddied the waters. Like they were witches, but were they Sith witches? Because like I know at one point, spoiler alert again, Manny Jacinto's character, he said, some might call me a Sith.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if the witches ever said like we are a Sith witch coven. But the Jedi were very quick to label them that and to say like they're a coven of Sith witches and they're training children.
And I don't think they're ever called the Night Sisters either.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that they
don't have the green flame power. It looks like, but they can turn into dust or fog or smog or something.
But it was cool to see like the Force used in different ways like that. It's a different part. And finally, we've been hearing about it since we've been reading the book since kids. Cortosis, right? The armor, like they mess up lightsabers. They can block lightsabers. It's not the stuff. That Mando was
we
using.
got Beskar that deflects it. We've got this Cortosis that can short circuit a lightsaber, but just for a little bit. Just a little bit, short circuit.
Listen, any port in a storm, right? So I think those are the good things. Those are the things that made me excited as I finished episode 8 and looked back and said, oh, what was really great about that show? That was what I think was really great. Derek, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I think like the lightsabers.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. This is some of the best lightsaber action we've gotten in a long time. And also lightsaber daggers. Like, you guys are more well familiar with the expanded universe that I ever did. I never saw a lightsaber dagger before. We've seen the dual bladed stuff, but the lightsaber dagger was
cool.
pretty darn
That's very
amazing.
samurai, right?
And,
I mean, you have like the little sword and the bit. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah. It was really neat to see that in action, especially, spoiler alert, when we see Saul's Padawan getting killed by it. We're just like,
oh, no! And the powering it off and back on. That was like a thing when I was a kid. When I was always joking when I was lightsaber fighting, like, oh, you power it off and they swing and they power it back on at them.
Yeah.
Oh, he did that.
But to me, that was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh. And I didn't know about core torsos either. Like the shorting out of the lightsabers, that was really neat. I was like, what is going on? Why are lightsabers malfunctioning? I don't understand. What? Like, somebody explain this to me. But I guess the main.
Until I thought about it and remembered it, I thought he was using the Force to do it, which I thought was even cooler.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, was it like a dark side trick or something like that? You're like shorting out the crystals or something like that.
You'd think you'd use the Force to turn off their lightsaber.
He's just squirting a little water in there. They didn't get like the IP6 coating on lightsabers until like, you know, the later on, you know, during Anakin's time. But the real meat and potatoes, though, that I really enjoyed about the story was digging into the question about what would motivate somebody to turn to the dark side in a believable way. And I think that really, to me at least, and I'm going back like to the prequel trilogy, Anakin's story to me doesn't have a lot of depth. Like it really doesn't. And I really think Osha's story, in my opinion, right? Like Ocean's story, and I imagine what Qimir's story is going to tell you is like it's going to dig into that more. Like what would really motivate somebody in terms of things that happen to them that would want them to turn to the dark side. It asks the bigger questions, I think, about the Jedi Order and other groups that use the Force too, just like Jay was alluding to, right? I mean, just there isn't a light side, a dark side. There's a lot of gray, right? And should people have, you know, the freedom to practice the Force in whatever way they want, right? Or is it just the Jedi way, and that's the only way to practice
the First
Force,
Amendment
right?
to the Constitution says that the government shall make no, you know, endorsement of religion. So I think people should practice the Force however they feel.
And to that point, though, right? They make it a point when they go to the cult of saying, you know, that Jedi are the only people allowed to train people in the Force. They make these points about like it is written basically by the Galactic Republic. Like this is the way it is, right? So there are those themes of real life, you know, church and state types of things, right?
Right, where the Force exists and there's these groups interpret it. It's like the Force is the Force. It doesn't have a side. It's not a good or a bad. The Force exists as a thing, and then the people are the good and the bad.
Right. Well, Ian, what did you think?
Well, so adding on your point, I really think that, you know, one of my bad things is I think this muddies the water a lot. What are we saying about the Jedi? Are they good? Are they bad? As a kid who wanted to be Luke Skywalker, when I played as a kid for like a decade, I was a Jedi. Off saving the universe. I was the good guy. Luke is the good guy. Darth Vader, bad guy. It was very, like, as a kid with fantasy, that was very clean cut. But, like, how much muddier are we going to make these waters with Ahsoka, who's a great Jedi? And then here are other Jedi. You know, it's like we're muddying the water so much that, like, sometimes when I just want escapism, just good guys, can I just feel like we're doing the right thing for a bit and not have, like, the complexity of adulthood in the real world just, like, making its way into all my media? Yes, life is complicated. Does Star Wars have to be? Can we just have fun and, like, save? Like, have a very clear bad guy and then... You know, and same with, like, you know, the dark side and with Manny Jacinto's character. Like, he's snapping necks, bad guy, right? But then he's like the sexy Sith guy and there's a love story. You can't have, hey, you snap people's necks. You killed Jekki. This is not cool.
Not cool, man.
All right. I'll get to that later during what I didn't enjoy. But things I loved. I thought the fights were so good. The wire work. I love seeing that the Jedi have that little extra, when they jump, there's that little extra boost, and I thought the wire work sells that so well. That was so cool. Soul does a bicycle kick. He jumps up in the air like bicycle kicks when he's fighting. That was so good. I thought it was amazing. I thought Manny Jacinto's character, is it Qimir? I thought he was so good. He Yoda'd. Yeah. He Yoda'd May and Osha, where he was like, oh, I'm all silly. I'm a crazy guy. No, he's a big evil master. Like how playful he was with them. And then he went full bad guy. And if you've watched A Good Place, like his character is so like surfer dude and like kind of clueless and like funny and humor. Yeah, he really has range. But when he does that turn and he is a bad guy and he is strong, I also think the way he moves, like the way his body moves when he's fighting or anything he's doing, his physicality to that role was so good, and I'm glad they didn't kill him.
Yeah.
I'm glad we can get him. Come on, season 2, fingers crossed, because his story to me was more interesting than the one that we were watching. I thought with Osha and May, I'm not super sure if they tease this story so much. And, that's in my negatives, too, is that they spent a long time teasing this mystery reveal. They went like, okay. I don't know if the mystery was really what I hoped it was going to be.
I mean, you knew when he was in the pharmacy. You were like, yeah, that's the bad guy.
Oh, I don't know. It wasn't very predictable to me, actually. I didn't see it coming at all. I did not see him being as the big guy behind the helmet. I
saw
really
it coming
did not.
only because I'm like, he can't be that much of a, doofus. Right, like he was playing. I thought he was playing silly, but that was that's not it. That's not on my list.
Right, and I thought too when he was like, "Well, the master said this," and she's like, "Don't worry about the master, whatever." Like, oh, but what about like he's like saying Sith lore when he's talking to
edging it on.
Yeah, I thought he was definitely pushing her. I was like, he's the master. Come on.
Yeah.
I thought I'd add that my daughter said that she really loved this series. So like I have a different take on this. I watch this side by side with my daughter, my 7, almost 8-year-old daughter. And so she's watching female protagonist in this, and she's really behind all this. So I love hearing her thoughts and emotions as she's watching these things. The sisters and the betrayal and all that. She has a younger sister. So like that stuff all really hit home for her. And she said she loved the show because it was very surprising. For a kid, like we were just saying like, oh, we knew that he was the bad guy. For a little kid, that was a big reveal. That was a Darth Vader level, oh my God thing.
And my son watched it, and he was disappointed that they made Saul a bad guy because he really likes Saul's character.
Right, I know, me too. Yeah,
which was very interesting.
And she loved the yellow lightsabers. That was her other thing. She saw this, went, ooh, and like, we have lightsabers at home, and I'm like, we're buying the Force FX lightsaber. Okay, yeah, buy it. As soon as one is available, we're buying. Okay, yep. When we go to Galaxy's Edge, we'll get you a yellow lightsaber. Okay.
So why don't we dig a little bit more into those critiques about the series? Why don't we, Jay? What were some of yours?
Like, I think I'm going to speak for all of us here that the episodes were ordered and cut in such a weird way. It was like trying to take like a broken arm in 9 pieces and try to put it back together in the right way. Like, it worked, but it didn't feel good. The cutbacks and the jumps and like we're here, it felt all over the place. And I get what they were trying to do is I think they were trying to make everyone feel uncomfortable with the story that was going on. I think what they wanted to do is make people feel uncomfortable about what Soul was doing. They wanted to feel uncomfortable with the conflict between May and Osha, and having to go back and forth was really important with that. I thought that was a problem. And I know all you guys did too.
Well, they seemed like they were trying to Back to the Future to it.
Yeah.
When like you see the first movie, but from a different perspective. But I really would have loved if things were interpreted really differently.
So what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
See what you did there.
I also thought, I know that we kind of talk about the Jedi as being painted with one brush with the show, but I thought Qimir killed them too easily. I mean, he's one dude against Soul and a couple of really accomplished Jedi and some Padawan. I thought there would have been a little bit. It's kind of like when Palpatine like took out Kit Fisto and the other dude, Plo Koon. Like he takes them all in 5 seconds, and then he fights Mace Windu forever. I'm like, all 4 of them were like accomplished Jedi masters. I thought it was too easy. I also. Just on a side note with that, I wanted more Jackie Lon, which was Daphne Keen's character. I wanted more of that Padawan. I did not think she needed to die. I think they could have done some grievous injuries where Soul pulled her out of there and healed her. And I don't know.
Well, her fury in Wolverine movie,
so good,
right? Her anger she is so good at that like I was hoping that you were going to give her a moment where she's like, rah! And she like flips out and goes and
Well, she did. She like punched Qimir in the face and knocked his helmet off. Like she was just like, boom, boom. Like she was tough. I wanted to see more of her.
Okay, that helmet is dope, and I have already pre-ordered it on Amazon. Black Series helmet.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. Of course, nice. That helmet was amazing. It looks like a xenomorph. It looks like one of the alien from Aliens.
And I wanted more Soul. I wanted more dimensions. Like I didn't connect with him until like he turned out to be like a negative character. Does that make sense? Like he was kind of like. He was a little vanilla for me, and like I'm like saying, oh, okay, Osha was his Padawan. He loves her. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I didn't have a big feeling for that. But when he became the bad guy in the situation, like pulling the kids away from their mother, I was like, I wanted to see more of his thought process with that. Also, finally, more Kelnaka. Wookie Jedi. It's the first time we have a Wookie Jedi in live action. Oh, it would have been so much better. But those are mine. It's kind of nitpicky, but those are my things. Derek, what about you?
Well, I to go back on one thing you said, though, I don't know if those Jedis were Jedi Masters.
No, they weren't.
Right? That's the thing.
Yeah. And they said
They're
that
Jedi
he fought
Knights.
in a way that didn't make sense. All of them are like, he's breaking
Right.
rules. He's completely going against
Yeah.
any fighting style they've ever learned.
And have the Jedi seen Sith, or they didn't even, that was another thing that I said. They didn't even really acknowledge the whole Sith thing. They did not really, they talked a little bit about the dark side, right? But, who taught Qimir, right? That
Right.
was a big question to me. No one really brought up the Sith or really acknowledged the dark side or what it was. Like, it was just like, they're using the Force in this way type of thing. Was the Sith a giant threat? Is this like the birth of the Sith that they're trying to like talk about here? Are they going to get into that in season 2? Is Yoda going to drop some knowledge about this is the Sith and the dark side kind of thing? And if so, why the heck did they not, like, they were all afraid to go to the principal's office and tell their teachers about what was going on. And that drove me nuts. Like, are the Jedi this generic and stupid? Which was like my big question. Like, why wouldn't you go to the High Council and tell them what was going on?
Right.
Because if like this is like the amount of I guess like politics
Paperwork.
and just like rigmarole that the Jedi have to go through to get something done, it's just like these are the Guardians of the Republic. They're afraid to like report their stuff up to their like High Council. Like that was just ridiculous.
Like, and we always are seeing like, oh, there aren't any Sith.
Right.
Are there always Sith? Like the Force will make, like, isn't there always like a
Right.
Force balancing thing? Like the imbalance in the Force is a bajillion Jedi and no Sith. That's the Force out of
Right.
balance.
Yes, and maybe that's probably the problem, right? Yeah, because that I made this comment before we started recording. The Jedi all seemed generic. They even dressed all directly
Right.
the same. They could have been just all priests, right? They had the same robes, the same belts.
But they
Everything
are.
was the same.
That's the thing. It's a dogma, right?
Right.
It's like, and again, we're going to get letters, but think about like the Catholic Church, right? The Catholic Church, and major religions, right? They all have a very specific dogma. And the Jedi have this dogma about the Force. You use it this way and you don't do this. And this is how you train kids. And this is the
code.
relationship we have to have with the Senate in order for us to do the work we need to have, right? Like, they are vanilla, and that's their problem, I think, and that's why they think they're better than everyone, is because they have this dogma that they grab onto. Luke said it in episode 8, right? The Last Jedi.
Ancient Jedi texts. Come on.
Page turners, they were not. Burn them.
I think we touched upon the editing. Just another kind of, I don't know if I really quite bought like the Kung Jedi stuff with the wire work a little bit. Some of it was a little too matrixy, a little too martial arts and kung fu-y to me. But I thought when it got very lightsabery, it was amazing. Like I thought the actual sabering was very great. And I did enjoy that a lot. And my biggest thing was, like, I almost did not watch this series after episode 1 when they killed Carrie-Anne Moss, right away. Like, we just came off of Kenobi, right, where an Inquisitor got it in the gut with a lightsaber, and a throwing dagger kills Carrie-Anne Moss. Like, come on!
It's not even a big dagger. It was a small, very small
Poisoned,
dagger.
and we didn't know it. I'm just like...
I just remember in Kenobi when the Grand Inquisitor, like, leans over Darth Vader's shoulder and goes, hello.
Yes.
So I had some, we're talking about editing. And editing was another problem that I had. These episodes were so short. And I feel like right when something interesting was about to happen, they cut the episode. I'm like, I was watching that. Right? Like the Sith shows up and they're like, and he like jumps down. He's like, we're going to have a fight. And they're like, not this episode. You're not. Like, I gotta wait a week for that? That's horrible.
Yes.
I mean, they're cliffhangering pretty hard, but then it makes me sad that by far the best thing that happens is at the very end of the episode. Like a bunch of filler, we're on a spaceship talking a whole bunch, and there's like all this weird stuff. I thought that they teased, the reveal of what the real secret was. Oh, Soul's gonna finally tell her what really happened. What did really happen? Everyone was dead. I thought that when they finally revealed the mystery, it was not good enough. Like, so all the Sith all the witches died all at once. That like Carrie-Anne Moss goes into Kalnucka's head and like they were trying to control him, and they all just in unison fall over dead. It was not the little girl setting a fire. The little girl set a fire on like the 3rd floor to keep her, and her sister got away fine. Why is everything melting down and exploding? I still don't get why everything's exploding.
That escalated quickly.
I still don't get how because the mom they showed their mom turning into smoke and getting stabbed. That's really bad. I thought that these 4 Jedi killed those 30, like this whole coven.
Yeah.
And then for it to be that, like, well, they all just kind of fell asleep because of the Force. I thought that was such a cop-out. I was expecting this big reveal that Soul kept, like, almost saying, and then they're like, oh, the power's back on. Guess I won't tell you now. Come on. Too many teasers.
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe there was an Anakin with the Sand People thing happening, you know, like he was just going to go house, right?
Ooh.
Like, killing younglings.
We can't leave witnesses.
You know, like,
yeah.
So, something I forgot that I loved and forgot to mention, that Kyber crystal getting corrupted.
Oh, the bleeding.
That was an amazing moment where the lightsaber turned red. So good. But right after it was when she force chokes Soul to death. And like, I would think force choking, you got to train for a long time to do Sith lightning out of your hand. And then Daisy Ridley like did it by accident in like Rise of Skywalker. And then here she comes in and she's like hasn't even trained in the dark side of the Force, and she's force choking the guy. I'm like, it seemed like Vader, like that was a special power he had and he trained for a long time. She just picks that up like out of nowhere.
I don't know. Maybe it was like I kind of actually thought that was like one of those jaw-dropping things to me. And then Saul said it's okay, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah, in that moment. But I mean, that's to me is one of those things where like, you know, anger and hate, right? I mean, like but I get what you're saying.
You brought up something, and it's Soul's emotionality. So he is operating not like a Jedi at all. And he's not a master yet. Right. He doesn't really have an official Padawan. But like he is attached. He does have emotions. He is worried about those girls. Yes. He has humanity, and he wears it on he's so expressive with his face that like, are they not allowed to be that way? Carrie-Anne Moss is trying to guide him to like, no, we don't. We are calm. And this is like what a Jedi is. But like, is that evil and horrible to not want little girls to die or to, what's the messaging there?
I forget her character name, but Carrie-Anne Moss, like she did everything except smack him on the side of the head and say, dude, this is not what we do. Like we have a job. We're looking for the Virgin of the Force. Yeah, the virgins might be them, but our job is not to take them, and they're too old, right? They're like, all the boxes were left unchecked, and he's still like, oh, like, dude, like, and that's another thing, like, and they let him continue to be a master because they sweep it all under the rug. They swept it all under the rug, right? That's what happened. The Jedi, in order to keep the position within the galaxy, were like, well, we can't tell everyone that we like massacred all these witches and stole their child and killed another one. So right under the rug. And that's the problem with the ancient Jedi, or the old world Jedi. Like maybe when the episode 10 comes out, or whatever they're going to call it, with Daisy Ridley as Rey again, and she's making a new academy, maybe we're going to see different versions of the Jedi that are going to be stronger and more independent. That's, I think, the weakness of the Jedi, is that they're so dependent on their dogma, they're independently just weak and powerless because they have nothing to grab onto except that dogma. And it's bad. It's bad news bears.
I feel like you're getting into a little bit of like the MCU problem right now. Can Captain America operate on his own? His own moral code, what he sees as right and wrong? Or does he have to follow what the president says is right and wrong? You know, if you're part of the Avengers, is it everything a team decision? Or can you make decisions on your own? Yeah. What is right? What is wrong? Who is bad? Who is good? How do you save people? I think it's all interesting questions.
It is. But we're running long. Yeah. We're running long.
Yes.
So we got to finish it. We got to wrap it up in a strong way with grades. So I'm going to save my grade for the end. I'm going to start with Ian. Ian, give me your grade.
I hate to be the guy that gives things a B again. I feel like everyone gives things a B. For me, it's like it gets a B because it wasn't an A, like an Andor that starts with the letter A, but also was just like
Acolyte really started with an A.
Right. Hey, there you go. Sorry, Acolyte's getting a B. It's not a C. I really enjoyed so much of it. It kind of made me question, what do I want out of my Star Wars content? We're getting so much of it questioning. I mean, we're just going to keep questioning this stuff and just further and further and further and breaking it down, finding the origins of things until is there anything left?
Yep.
I want more mystery. I want just like a fun story aside from a lot of this lore and things. But you give me Kill Bill Star Wars, that's what this was. There's someone who is wronged, and they're going to kill Bill, the people that wronged them. And I think that kind of story making, like, yes, that's what I want. Good new characters, but I just wish we had more with them. You know? So, yeah, I'm giving it a B, maybe a B minus. It's like, I don't think it's that close to an A for me. It's like, I wanted Manny Jacinto, or I wanted the story to move quicker.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that we covered more ground, because we're not going to get this for a long time now.
Yeah, I thought it was really great that we had something that was not in the world of Skywalker.
Yes.
And I really thought it was very different. I did like the characters. I enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed a more Jedi-centric, Force-centric story that examined more of the Force and the motives on both sides. Especially seeing, right, I really feel like that dug into a real reasons for why, right, someone would consider the dark side. And I really love like what the sequel trilogies did, in that, you know, you had a different character that was looking and, you know, had that emotional attachment and was acting with feelings. And this was even more of that, like, you did this to my mother, right, kind of things. You hid the truth from me, and this is why, right, I am acting the way like this. It was not perfect, in my opinion, at all whatsoever. So it gets a solid B. It gets a B.
I also wanted to give it a solid B, but I did give it a B plus. It was not the Jedi story we expected, but it was the one we needed, because we've had everything in Star Wars has been surrounding the Empire, whether it be the beginnings of the Empire, the high times of the Empire, or the fallout from the fall of the Empire. This was what we needed. We needed to see the Jedi at, and I'm not going to call this their height. This is the beginning, I think, of their downfall. This is the beginning of their slide, right? Because we do see a character, spoilers, Darth Plagueis makes an appearance, right?
Ooh.
So we know that he is connected to Palpatine. So there's something that's going to connect Qimir to Plagueis to Palpatine. So this, I think, is the beginning. When James Mangold does his Dawn of the Jedi, like when there's like thousands of them and it's like the early part, I think that would be really cool too. But I give this a B plus because we needed to see this. This show, while it was definitely not perfect, it gave me a better understanding of why the Jedi were so weak and ineffective in the prequels.
Thanks for joining us for our review of The Acolyte. We're all huge Star Wars fans, so we're going to watch pretty much everything Disney puts out. But what did you think? Drop us a line on our Instagram and TikTok at 3Dimensional Dads, or email us at 3dimensionaldads@gmail.com.
Join us next time when we pull double duty. We're going to give you our review of Deadpool and Wolverine, because Deadpool and Wolverine. But we're also going to take a greater look at the state of the MCU, right? Where is it going? Just today, as we're recording this, Kevin Feige said we are entering the mutant era, right? Fantastic Four's on the horizon. The X-Men are coming. Daredevil's coming back. Punisher. It's the perfect time to talk about where Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's creations are headed.
Find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify at 3 Dimensional Dads.
Fatherhood in the next dimension.